Hey guys, so today bringing you another video and welcome to another Huzzy, a patch note breakdown. So we do these every 2 weeks nowadays because, to be honest, they do actually change quite a lot in the game quite often. Maybe about 5 years ago it wasn't really worth doing, but nowadays it is. And also this is quite a big one. So I think that in 2 weeks ago, and in my mind, I don't know if about you guys, but I can't even believe that was 2 weeks ago. It's gone very fast. I think that I titled that like the first Worlds patch or something. This is like the Worlds patch. So Worlds is literally, I think in the play-ins or something like that, is starting in a couple of weeks. Also just worth knowing, very soon, in the next like week or two, I am also going to be starting a new Spectate series that we're going to be watching the pros from around the world all playing on EU West. So if you've got any pros that you want me to do a Spectate of, put it in the comments down below and I'll see if I can get that done for you. Anyway, let's get into it. And again, I'm going to be making this video, editing it, uploading it, thumbnailing it, all of that for today's second video. That will be in a few hours. If you appreciate the work and the effort to do that, throw a like on it. That also would be awesome. So let's see. So yeah, 2 weeks away from Worlds. The second and final Worlds-focused champion buffs and nerfs, plus the new Dawnbringer, Nightbringer skins, and Worlds 2021 Jarvan to celebrate. So apparently Jarvan's getting the World skin. I actually didn't know. Worlds Clash is also getting here. VEX is also here. So I can't believe, like, again, 2 weeks ago, VEX got announced. She's coming out literally tomorrow, which is nuts. So here's the adjustments. So a lot of buffs. Renekton's actually getting buffed. Wow, that champion has been nerfed a lot this season, but he's getting a buff. So having nerfs to Kennen, Ryze, Sona, Soraka, and Varus. Obviously, the Soraka buff last patch, I did think might have been a little bit too strong. So we'll see how they're toning that down. And then we're getting buffs to Aatrox, who, okay, Akali here. So just keep in mind, again, there are some champions in this buff list that are very questionable in terms of why the hell are they getting buffed. And that is where you have to sometimes, as dumb as it is, you have to separate solo queue to pro play. This last patch and this patch are for Worlds. They are not for solo queue. Even though we play on the same patch, Riot will fully admit this is not for solo queue. So that's why Akali's getting a buff, for example. Chogath, Fizz, Galio, Gragas, Gwen, Mord, Poppy, Kiana, Renekton, Sejuani, Seraphine, Scion, and Silas. Which I can't believe Silas is, but yeah. We're also getting the new champion, VEX, the Gloomist. And then, yeah, we've got Lightbringer Kayn Prestige Edition, Lightbringer Kayn, Dawnbringer Morgana, Lightbringer Tryndamere, Lightbringer Lilia, Dawnbringer VEX, Dawnbringer Yone, and the world skin is Jarvan, which is pretty sick, to be honest. I will say a little bit weird. Obviously, Morgana getting a new skin here. I don't know if anybody just saw earlier today, they announced the upcoming skins for the Halloween event. You know, again, it is actually not too far away from Halloween. Where is the year gone? But Morgana is getting prestige version of her Bewitching skin. So she's actually getting kind of technically 2 new skins in the next month or so. And just to say, all of this stuff is available September 23rd. So I'm recording this on the 21st, on the Tuesday. So that means the patch will be happening on the 22nd. So VEX is not coming out on patch release. On the day of release, VEX is not coming out. It's the day after. So that just clears that up. So yeah, VEX is here, and I think people saw in the content that I made for her. Genuinely, I have not been excited to play one of the new champions in League as much as I am VEX. And when was the last champion? God, I don't even know what it would be. If any of you have an idea of, like, you remember a new champion coming out and I was genuinely really excited for it. Maybe Set, but, like, maybe? I don't think I definitely was more excited for VEX than I am Set. But VEX just seems really my type of play style. Very much a mid laner, very much a mage, but has kind of the tendencies that I like as well. So I am very much looking forward to it. And again, they are confirming that she's coming out on September 23rd. So let's get into it. So Aatrox, W cooldown decreased. So a buff to Aatrox, and it's a, let's look, a lane phase buff. Yeah, big one actually. So wow, that's a really big one. 26-second cooldown used to be the W, which is the chain. It's now 20, so a 6-second buff at rank 1. And obviously, if I might be wrong, but I don't think you max chains in lane, that you stay at rank 1 for quite a while. So a 6-second buff on ability that you're not really maxing, even first or second, that's not bad. That's pretty good. But Aatrox cooldown was heavily nerfed in patch 9.9 in an effort to reduce his pro dominance. He's not running over the pro scene anymore, so we're loosening his chains a bit. So that will help solo queue as well. Akali, oh god. So it does seem, thankfully, they're not doing anything crazy with her damage. Akali does plenty enough damage. I think most of us would agree with that. So what they're doing is health regen and health regen growth. So they're basically just helping her lane phase a little bit. That, you know, she can trade more effectively because she'll have more natural health regen to kind of recover from trading. I mean, I still don't think that champion needs any form of buffs, but if they're going to buff her, that's not the worst thing to do. So there's that. Chogath, a champion, I will say I have gained more respect for Chogath in the last maybe year than I ever had. I'm still not a huge fan of him, if I'm honest. He's very basic and very, 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 very straightforward. You know, we've spoken over the years about one-dimensional play. He's not completely one-dimensional. He does have skill shots. His Q, his W technically is a coned ability. You know, he's not as one-dimensional as Garen or Yi or something like that, but he is very old. I could see an amazing rework one day with Chogath, keeping the feast kind of element to him. Maybe it would be really sick. But they're giving him a little bit of a buff and just basically reducing the Q. The cooldown is 7 seconds. It's going down to 6. That ain't bad. Like, that's actually not a bad at all buff. If you're using Q, which you probably are not using it, but if you're using Q relatively on cooldown, you know, you're getting an extra Q in every, so if it used to be 7 seconds, so every 10 times you use it, used to be 70 seconds. So every 10 times you use it, you can use it one more time for free with this buff, and nearly 2 times for free when it comes to the time scale of it. It's not bad. Obviously, it still costs mana, but yeah, not bad. Fizz, so this champion has been weirdly not great, even though the meta kind of suits him in some avenues. Like, in this whole season, you know, the mid lane roaming assassin meta, honestly, Fizz is the one that I haven't seen maybe the most. Like, think about it. You've seen Akali, Sylas, Kiana, Zed, Talon, all of these champs, way more. Personally, for me, I've seen them way more than Fizz. So, yeah. So, what they... Remember last patch that they said it was going to be a buff, and then apparently it was an unintentional nerf to Fizz? So that's kind of funny. I think I might even mention that in that video, that I maybe it rings a bell that I was like, that's a bit weird. That does ring a bell now. I don't know. But they're removing the bonus damage reduction against champion basics attack, blah, 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 removed. That's gone. The on-hit damage flat is going down again because they're removing that. The cooldown of Trickster is going down. That's just a flat-out buff, especially to Fizz, because his E is such a big part of what he can do. And they're buffing the ability power, again, of the different ults. And people did confirm, I do remember in that comment section going, yep, depending what range you throw the ulti, depends which one you get, the Guppy, the Chomper, or the Gigalodon. If max range is the Gigalodon, for example. So that is that. But yeah, I don't know. I like Fizz, but just haven't seen that many of them. Galio, W cooldown neo decreases with rank. That's nice. Oh, it's technically a nerf though, probably for pro play. So it's not nice. So it was I think that's 18 seconds. Technically, actually, it is nice. It's a buff. Sorry. I thought that said 16 seconds, but it's really hard to see when the line is through it. I think that says 18 seconds. And it now starts at 18 seconds, and then by rank 5 gets down to 16. So it's technically a 2-second buff at max rank. And then, obviously, it gets lower and lower after rank 1. That ain't bad. It's a little buff for him, but nothing major. Obviously, Galio has always been around in pro play. They literally removed a big mechanic of Galio's when he got his rework, that you could hold your charge of your taunt and then flash during the charge. They removed that because it was way too good in pro play, and probably too good in solo queue as well. But yeah, he might see some worlds play. Gragas, W damage AP scaled increase. So just giving him a little bit more oomph with his W. You know, some Gragases do build full AP, but I think a very common thing with Gragas is to build kind of like an Amumu. It's a tanky AP. You're not going full AP. You're just going to get one shot. So you are building a bit of tank health and AP as well. So this will benefit Gragas. I do like that champion. I don't know about you guys, but again, I'm an old man when it comes to League of Legends. I kind of miss when Gragas was a mid laner. I don't know if anybody else does, but like genuinely, if anyone knows, obviously the content creator Skara, obviously I don't think he does anything to do with League anymore, but he was one of the Gragas mid players. Like he was genuinely insanely good at Gragas mid. His Katarina and his Gragas mid back in like the old days of season 1 and 2 were like really well respected in the world. So yeah, Gwen, very strong champion, good kit, but has maybe fallen off a little bit since like her peak of like when she was released and when people worked out what the hell the champion does, because that is part and parcel, I will say, of like either on the PB when a champion is just announced, oh my god it's overpowered, or oh my god it's really weak, and normally the dust settles and people normally when it goes to, oh this champion's really weak, when it gets released after a week or two, people kind of figure out, oh they're actually good, this is how you have to play them. And that did happen with Gwen. It just took a little bit more learning than what people did on the PBE, including myself. Like, I did not have any success with Gwen on the PBE. Like, when I was testing her, I felt she was so weak. But she then did get a lot stronger and then became very strong. And I think Riot has toned her down a bit. But they are buffing her because, again, they nerfed her in 11.5 and stuff like that. So they are just giving her more health regen. And again, anything when it comes to health regen is all about this in top lane, trading in top lane. When you don't have an Akali or a Gwen, they're not exactly building a Vamp Scepter like a lot of AD bruisers. The AP top laners sometimes just don't have that regen in the early game like the AD ones do. So just giving them that little bit of health regen so they can stay in lane phase after a trade, I think is fine. Kennen. So Kennen's been on the dramatic rise in pro play. Apparently, again, I will say I don't watch pro play. I will be watching a bit of Worlds. I will be making content on Worlds, but I have no idea that Kennen was making a rise in pro play. But they are nerfing his Q, so flat damage is going down by 10 per rank, and the ability power is going down by 5% flat. That is just nerfs to Kennen, straight up. But he'll still do okay damage. You know, his Q is designed for poke, not all-in. His ultimate and W combo is more the all-in. So, I mean, it'll hurt his lane phase a little bit in, like, how free Kennen's lane phase can be sometimes. But, yeah, it's not going to ruin the champion, I would say. Mordekaiser. So I will say, slight spoiler, I played Mordekaiser today, and definitely look out for that video in the coming days. And people told me when I was playing Mord earlier, and they were like, Huz, do you know Mord's getting a buff? And I was like, oh snap, like I had this game and Mord's getting a buff, okay. And it pretty good buff, to be honest, for the early game. His E, which is usually the big engaging tool, like, you know, I'm going to suck you towards me and start whacking you over the head with my big stick, that is getting buffed by 4 seconds at rank 1. That's actually pretty considerable, I would say, and it's still the same at rank 5, it's a 10-second cooldown. But that's not bad for lane phase strength. And you can see here, he's been bummed that he's been falling behind his peers and all that stuff. So they're just trying to give him that access in lane phase to actually be able to fight with it, with, you know, having better cooldown times. So that's fine. Poppy. Passive cooldown decreased. Ooh. I like that. Again, I'm a big Poppy fan. I think people know I've played Poppy for, you know, for years. She's always around my top lane champion pool. She's never, like, fundamentally in my champion pool, but she's, oh, they picked Jax, I'll pick Poppy. Oh, they picked Fiora, I'll pick Poppy. Poppy is my counter pick to certain champions. Aurelia, I guess, as well. So the fact that her passive, which I would actually say is an undervalued damage tool that Poppy has, obviously, it gives her a shield when she either lost hit with it, or if she picks up the shield wherever it lands. That's good, but it also does a decent amount of damage. And that is going down in lane phase considerably. So rank at between level 1 and 6, it'll be a 13-second cooldown, where it used to be a 16-second cooldown, so 3-second buff. Level 7 to 12, it will now be a 10-second cooldown, and then 13 onwards, it will be a 7-second cooldown, where it used to be 8. So that's just flat out Poppy buffs. I actually think the bigger thing there is the early game, it's 3 seconds better off off than it used to be, so you can probably get that off quicker. That's good for your lane phases straight up. So that's really nice. Kiana. So I have seen the Ryze a little bit of Kiana, and her damage is a little bit silly in some places, but that's just Season 11 in a nutshell. So EQ combo targeting on dashing targets adjusted, and Q bonus damage against monsters increased there. So they're probably trying to force her into the jungle, let's be honest. But then updated, if the target of Kiana's EQ combo, so as you Q and E, so E and Q at the same time, is still within Kiana's default attack range, 150 units, of Kiana, at the end of an E, it will not be dodgeable. So you technically, even though a Kiana is EQing somebody, they could, I think, dodge her Q, and they're making it, for me, again, as an outsider to Kiana, it's making it a little bit more obnoxious. Again, her damage is mad. Like, there was a Kiana in a game earlier, and she wasn't, from memory, doing that well, and then she was nearly dead, and to be fair, it was our support, it was like a Leona or a Nautilus or something, was going after her to finish her off. She literally turned around to a full health Nautilus, I think it was, and just one-shot him. And it was like, oh, okay. And she wasn't that fed. And it was like, okay, that just happened. So, and again, Riot, please stop forcing mid laners into the jungle. It's not how you fix jungle. It's really silly. Oh. Renekton. Hello, Renekton. Base health and health growth increased. W self-lockout duration decreased and empowerment animation sped up. So yeah, that was a big nerf to Renekton last patch. It killed the champion, to be honest. So they're giving him more health. Base health is going up at rank 1, and the health growth is also going up. So he's going to actually feel a bit more chunky, a bit more beefy in health than he used to, which is not bad. And then the bigger buff here is the empowered animation sped up by 13%, and the self-lockout duration used to be half a second. Basically, he was just stunned. You stun yourself. That was the point. When you were doing the W-empowered W, a lot of people didn't realize, you're basically, when they made this change, you're stunning yourself as Renekton for half a second as well, because you're locked in that animation. So they're actually lessening the degree of your own stun to yourself by, it's now 0.375. So you are still kind of stunning yourself for a little bit, because again, if you're wondering, from memory, they got rid of the animation cancelling part of it. That with Renekton, obviously, if you're a decent Renekton player, you'd press your empowered W, the animation would start going off, and then you did something else, you Hydra'd or Q'd or something to stop the animation, but the stun would still happen. They stopped that being a thing, thus being really bad for Renekton. So, that's still not great, but it's going to help him a little bit. Whether he's going to be in Worlds, we'll see, because Renekton, from my knowledge, has just been all over Worlds in the last year, and yet not that great in solo queue. So, Ryze, QAP ratio reduced and E cooldown increased. So Ryze has risen above other mid lanes in most regions. We're nerfing his overall output to ensure he doesn't completely dominate Worlds. I mean, again, in the meta that you get so strong early, if you're a late game hyper carry, are you really surprised that people have gone like, oh, Ryze? And the nice thing I will say, and it does to me at least kind of feel like the community as a whole got a little bit bored of the mid meta, because Riot they haven't done stuff for mages. Like, remember, Riot has literally said, we know mages suck, we're going to fix them in pre-season. So Riot's done no big change to mages, but I think the community is just trying to work out champions that could work in the meta, or they've just got bored that they don't really want to play the meta. So the player base itself is changing it out of boredom. So that's where you are seeing mages make a comeback, which I'm so happy about. And with Ryze being a hyper-scaling, late game mage, and you get really strong into the game nowadays after one item, and you get one item in like 8 minutes, I'm not surprised Ryze has been good. So the magic damage is being toned down for his Q, and also the cooldown of the E is going up, so you can't spam it as much. So just nerfs all over for Ryze. Sejuani. Sejuani has been a bit of a bore recently, with slightly boosting her damage and giving her access to Q. I don't know if they need to do that, and I would say out of personal experience. If anybody watched, I think I uploaded it, the video where we had a Zed mid get absolutely decimated against an AP Sejuani mid. Like, it was a bit of a joke, to be honest. He got wrecked, and it didn't look like Sedge was lacking damage in that game, but obviously, you know, this buff is, I guess, not supposed to be for AP Sedge. It's supposed to be for standard tank Sedge more than AP Sedge. But, you know, it's going to help her. So there's that. She's getting a bit more base damage, and the cooldown is going down so she can use it more often. Seraphine, yeah, there's this champion, I guess. Seraphine's been weak across the board, so we're giving her chances. So her cooldown of R, like, let's be completely honest, the whole champion is her ultimate. Like, she is, and I know people are going to be triggered, she is Sona 2.0. She is a better version, arguably, of Sona. Her ultimate is Sona's, but just better and longer, and it can extend through a whole team fight. And you can now ult more in late game. So, ult more, sorry, it's 108. I keep seeing 160 when the line is through 180. So it's a 20-second buff across the board. That's good. But I will say Senna does feel ridiculously weak in many areas. Her damage is pathetically low. Like, again, if Riot truly wanted to make that champion a mid laner, because I am convinced now they did not want that champ to be a mid laner, even though they said they did. There's no way she's a mid. Like, she does so little damage, especially in the season of insane burst. You have to have burst in mid. Like, that is the way of mid nowadays. Even mages who historically never did burst now do burst. If you look at Ziggs and Xerath, they actually can do burst damage too. Seraphine just doesn't do any damage. Like, she does feel like a support when it comes to her damage, to be honest. So, yeah. Scion. Ooh, what I would say with Scion, I'm seeing Scion so often in my games. And obviously, it might just be because of the popularity of the buffs, great personality, etc. A lot of them do end up feeding and losing their team the game. But because he's so popular, I guess Riot is just throwing him a little bit of a buff because why not? So they're buffing his shield, not anything else. And yeah, that's it. They are just literally buffing his shield, and it looks like it's just a base health shield by 10. Yeah, so it's hardly anything, to be honest. I don't even think the percent of maximum health is going up. 8, 9, 10. No, it's literally just a 10, 40 ability power. It's literally just 10 per rank more. That is... It's not even worth having in the patch notes, to be honest. Sona... Not my type of champion, as I think people know. And again, like I said, just play Seraphine. She does feel a little bit better, just more modern. But Sona's songs have been a bit too powerful. So apparently, in skilled play, Sona's been taking over. Can't say that I agree. I had a Sona in my yesterday recording session, and she fed like crazy. So that was fun. So the base armor's going down, so she's squishier, which is really the thing that I wouldn't do to Sona, because they literally just get one shot all the time. And then, yeah, they're just nerfing all this stuff. So they're bug fixing 2 things, which is good. And they're just reducing the damage of her bug. Well, actually, they're doing a bug fix that just seems to be making the champion weaker. I don't know. But it's going to be a little bit of a nerf, it looks like. All right, so the Soraka. Yeah, again, when someone said to me, oh yeah, Soraka's going to be removing grievous wounds, she presses R, and in that second, it removes grievous wounds, then heals everybody for the full amount. Obviously, that's going to be strong, like, duh. And they're just nerfing the actual heal amount. So it's just going down by 20 at rank 1, 50 at rank 3, but keeping the same ability power ratio. But yeah, so you're still going to be healing a lot of Soraka because it no longer has grievous wounds. And if you're in a fight, obviously as Soraka, make sure you press R more early in a fight to remove grievous wounds, then W your AD carry, for example, because you would have removed grievous wounds from them for bigger healing. Silas... so they're giving him more base mana, and the mana regen's gone up. So, okay. So I'm like the Akali, there are certain champions I don't think need buffs, but if you're going to buff him, at least it's not a damage buff, at least it's not a healing buff, at least it's not, like, crazy. So they're just giving him more mana, which is still going to be annoying, because mana equals he can be in lane longer, he can engage on you more, and Silas has a pretty free engage, because he can just face tank a million damage, press W, and heal a crazy amount. So, yeah. I'm not a big fan that they're buffing him, but at least it's not damage buff. Varus, piercing arrow cooldown is going up, so they are making it that he can't do it all the time. but his Q cooldown can get partial refunds with stacks from his W, so you can still have a lesser cooldown Q if you're using your W correctly. Up Ultra Rapid Fire is the new mode that is coming out for the fun game mode. I will probably make a video or two in the next couple of weeks of playing it. Let me know what champs you'd want me to play on it, if any. Worlds Clash is here. AFK penalties. So the funny thing is, I'm not going to talk about this because tomorrow's second video, I'm actually going to... there's a whole video that I've already recorded on this, and that is going to be a dev video, so look out for that if you're interested in me talking about it more. We're getting a client update of performances and stuff, so that's good. But a lot of bug fixes, so if, again, you see a champion you play, especially, do look into this. So like Ornn, Fiora, like look at champion specifics, and if you see a champ you play, read the bug fix. And then we have the upcoming skins with also their chromas. But there we go. Not a bad patch. A little, little buffs and nerfs. Nothing major. And that's the thing to say. Like, I don't think we should have expected anything major because it's Worlds. Like, the teams are preparing already. And if you're going to shake everything up 2 weeks before it starts, it ain't going to be great. So it's major, little minor tweaks and stuff. And I'm fine with that. I will say, as a prediction, still look out for a Mumu support. The fact that they've not changed it or toned it down before Worlds, to me, is right probably wanting a Mumu support in Worlds, because I think it's strong. So that'll be good. But anyway, that is going to be it. Let me know what you guys think of the patch in the comments below. Hope you're all doing well. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime and